Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ. Taking a look at your afternoon slate of NFL preseason games coming your way. Two to choose from at that 1 o'clock time. Broncos and Bills squaring off. Same time, Lions and Colts. They just finished up a joint practice. Then at 4 o'clock, you have Commanders visiting the Kansas City Chiefs. We welcome back Emory Hunt, our Sportsline analyst, to break down these games. Last time the Bills played the Broncos in the preseason, it was 2011. Von Miller was a rookie back then. There's a lot of familiar faces between these two when they meet at Highmark Stadium this afternoon. Buffalo's won 9 straight preseason games. Emory, do you see the streak continuing today?
I do not, although I will say this. The Bills and Colts played one of the more exciting preseason games that we've seen in quite some time. It was almost like the NBA All-Star game where they were joking around for the first couple of quarters and then they got serious in the fourth quarter. This game is going to be exciting as well because, and I know I joke about the term America's quarterback, but there's layers to it. And when you think about the greatest America's quarterback of all time, you're talking about Josh Johnson and how many teams he's played for in the NFL. He makes a game exciting. I think he can move this Broncos offense. I love the defensive matchup. I just want to see Josh Johnson contribute a little bit more so inside the red zone. They have to convert some of those opportunities. And on defense, this is going to be a big game for Justin Stranad, who's going to be taking over for Jonas Griffin, who was a starting linebacker that got hurt last weekend against the Cowboys. I'm looking for a big game from him. I do like the Broncos to win this one late, but it should be exciting nonetheless. I
covered Josh Johnson, his stop in Washington. Looking forward to see him storm down the field in this preseason one. And speaking of Washington, they're on the road visiting Kansas City, and we can expect to see more from the starters for the Commanders in this second preseason game. And what we saw from Patrick Mahomes and company in their first game looks like they haven't missed a beat. We're going to see more of them this afternoon also. Chiefs, a 5-point favorite. Which way are you leaning here, Emory?
Well, this is why you got to focus on the second half because, yes, the Chiefs will run away with this in the first half, but it's all about comeback Sam Howell and what he did last weekend coming back in that game against Carolina. So I'm focused on the second half here, which is why I like Washington on the money line because Sam Howell showed some confidence, showed some grit, and also has a good amount of weapons to work with. I'm a big fan of what rookie undrafted free agent Armani Rogers brings to the table. Like I said before, I was at the East-West Shrine Bowl this past January, and he was out there playing tight end as if he played tight end his entire life. He looked so natural. Excited to see how he and rookie Cole Turner out of Nevada progressed this season. And I think their best running back on the roster is Jaret Patterson out of Buffalo. He just finds yards every time he gets an opportunity. So on the back end of the game, I do like Washington. I think they'll overcome whatever deficit in the first half they'll see from Kansas City. So take the Commanders on the money line.
Can we agree on one thing? It's only the second preseason game, but the Lions already looking so much better, right? They faced the Colts, who just finished up a joint week of practice with. Majority of their starters not playing since the two sides got in a lot of work against each other at practice. So knowing that most of their work was done earlier this week, Emory, does that impact how you'd wager on this one?
Not at all. And I want to make sure Joe Musso hears this. The Lions may be the second best team in the NFC North. But I will say this about Detroit. And what they've done to put themselves in this position is beef up the offensive line. They do have the best offensive front in the NFC North. Defensively, I expect second-year growth from Levi Onwuzurike and Alim McNeil on the interior. They bring in Aiden Hutchinson to help go along with Charles Harris, who had a breakout year, so to speak, last season on the opposite side. But Justin Houston, the rookie 6th-round pick out of Jackson State, is going to be tremendous in this ball game. He's someone that can play with his hand in the dirt, but also can drop back as an off-ball linebacker, make plays against the run, but also in coverage. I just like the way the Lions' makeup is, and I think because they're going to be built foundationally up front, the run game, defense, special teams, I like the Lions to win this one on the money line once again.
I do have a response from Joe Musso for you. He said, then we agree on the Vikings. Just want to make sure we got that in there. All right, 8 games total to watch this Saturday. Emory, what's your best NFL bet for the day?
The best bet is Pittsburgh because of all of the things I mentioned when you have all of these little pockets of intrigue coming into the game. A quarterback battle involving 3 quarterbacks who played well last weekend. The newfound strength of the run game. The offensive line looks to improve. I know it's preseason, but you have to like the fact that they were getting out there on the move. They were involved in terms of getting to the second level and blocking guys away. You have McFarland looking a little bit more patient to pair up with his speed, and Jalen Warren is shot out of a cannon every time he gets the football. And the Steelers defense is going to be the Steelers defense. They're deep, they're talented, they're going to do a great job in this ball game. I just think they're well equipped to win preseason football. They are almost like the Baltimore Ravens, who take preseason football seriously. I can say the same things about Pittsburgh in this matchup, especially today.
No days off under Mike Tomlin. We appreciate our time there, Emory Hunt, with your NFL preseason wagers. Thank you. Now let's get you another look at Emory's picks for this. He likes Broncos on the money line to end the Bills' preseason win streak. Also likes the Commanders as they visit the Kansas City Chiefs, and going with Detroit as they visit the Colts. And his best bet for today's NFL slate, mark it down, Steelers on the money line.
Joining us now to set the stage, we say hello to Sportsline analyst Emory Hunt, our moneymaker aboard to make you some. Let's start where it's going to finish here, Emory. NFL well after dark between the Cowboys and the Chargers. What are you hoping to learn tonight between these two, and how does it inform your pick in this one?
You know, I'm looking forward to watching Isaiah Spiller, the tailback, the rookie out of Texas A&M, to continue to grow his game. I think he has tremendous vision and footwork, and that marries together with how they want to run the football. And I always said he's going to be the perfect sidecar to Austin Eckler. Having Spiller there healthy gives Eckler a best chance to regain what he has been so far in his NFL career. And on defense, can they stop the run? And it's going to have to come from the outside. You look at Chris Rumph II, a guy that's long, angular, can really get after the quarterback, but his run ability is going to be key, along with Emeka Ebule, who has been there for quite some time, mainly a special teamer. So those two guys being better versus the run will be key in this game. I do like the Chargers on the money line. You want to take money line when you're talking about preseason football because you can't really get too in the weeds with point spreads and totals.
Yeah, pick a winner. I'm interested to see these two go up once again against one another. Cowboys, Chargers, both teams criminally underperforming to the roster that they trot out there each season. So interesting to see how the depth really builds on these two rosters. We'll get a peek at that here tonight. In a more traditional kickoff window, if you will, the Bucs and the Titans facing off. Something to keep an eye on in this one. Tempers did reach a boiling point in the finale of two joint practices on Thursday, with ill-advised punches being thrown at helmets. The helmet always wins, Emory. But by the numbers, the Titans are laying the short three here. Still well south of 40 when we're talking total. What's your feel in this one?
You know, it's funny. I'm laughing because I was at practice on Wednesday, and as I'm leaving practice, I tweet out, man, this was the most intense, productive practice I've ever seen in a joint practice situation. There were no fights. I get back to Jersey on Thursday, fights break out. So that's why I'm laughing. But when you look at Tennessee, what I noticed at practice was how well they are going to work those slot receivers. Keep an eye out for Kyle Phillips, the rookie out of UCLA, and Mason Kinsey, this kid out of a Division III Berry College. They couldn't touch him in one-on-ones, and that's where you can get aggressive up front along the line of scrimmage. They couldn't touch him, and even in team drills, he was finding open spots in the zone. He was fantastic, and Malik Willis's ability to play within the pocket is what people want to see. I was able to speak with him, and he talked about, I know I can run. I know I'm the best athlete out there. It's just trying to make sure I hone in on what the play is asking me to do, because in case of emergency, I know I can take off, and that's what the preseason is for. So I like that about Tennessee's offense going into this matchup. In their defense, the secondary is going to be fun to watch this season in a regular season. But right now, when you talk about Roger McQuarrie, you talk about Caleb Farley, those guys were giving those Bucs receivers the blues all throughout the practice. So I like Tennessee on the money line here. I think the depth of Tennessee, especially at quarterback, is much better than Tampa Bay.
Yeah, sometimes when we're talking about wagers here in the preseason, you're essentially betting backups, and interested to see what Willis can get done here in his second dress rehearsal of sorts. And like you said, trying to really stretch that skill set into a more NFL-type pocket passing first. We'll see if he takes steps in that direction here on Saturday. We're also going to get a pair of NFC hopefuls in the Niners and the Vikings, Emory. And at this point, like we said, it's really about establishing your depth, and that's something the Niners have done really well these past few seasons, but depth already being tested. Elijah Mitchell, Trey Sermon, both dinged up right now. Niners are catching 4.5. Total right in that same neighborhood, Emory. What do you got?
I got the Vikings in this one straight up on the money line once again, but I love the fact that San Francisco provides a unique challenge. They're going to run the football. They're going to run it outside zone. They're going to run inside zone. So I look at the safeties, that young core of guys they have back there. Lewis Seen, the rookie out of Georgia. Miles Dorn, the 2-year player coming from North Carolina. And Josh Metellus, who played at Michigan. And how well those guys fill the alley, be a top-down player as a safety, got to fly up and set the edge physically, force that running back to cut it back inside where your help is. If those guys can play up to par against San Francisco, I have no problem with this Vikings defense moving forward. And on offense, you think about what Minnesota does, and what I noted last weekend, it's every time you look up, you think you see the same guy, but it's someone different that has a similar skill set. So I like the interchangeable pieces they have on offense at receiver in the backfield. So there's a ton of skill depth here. I like them in this game over San Francisco.
All right, we'll also get the Raiders and the Dolphins. That's going to be part of your 4-pack in that 7 Eastern window. Pair of first-year head coaches facing off here. Yes, McDaniel is getting his second bite at the apple, but that was more than a Tebow ago. Emory, when you're churning these preseason numbers, does the coaching element factor in at all for you?
It really does. And you look at how new coaches attack the preseason, and we've spoken about this before. The Raiders ran the football really well in the Hall of Fame game. They ran it well against the Vikings last week, and I expect them to run the football well against Miami. Now, the Dolphins, this is going to be where they can come out and showcase in front of their home crowd. Hey, this is what you can expect offensively from Tua and Tyreek Hill, but I still like the Raiders on the money line against the Dolphins. I feel like the depth of the Raiders, especially on defense, is what's going to push them over the top. But when you look at that offense of the Raiders, the key positional battle to watch is between 2, 3, and 4 receivers that they're fighting for that position. And can they play special teams? To talk about Tyron Johnson, who was formerly with the Chargers, and Isaiah Zuber, who is one of the stars in the USFL with the Houston Gamblers. Those two guys are fighting for that roster spot. See how well they compete here. But I do like the Raiders because of how they're going to attack, running the football, playing good defense up front, and their secondary being able to match up across the board with the second group of Miami receivers, not those speedsters you're going to see initially.
It's going to be interesting, Emory. If you're selling Raiders this season, I am buying from start to finish. Carr 30-1 MVP, division champion. We got plenty to get to. We don't want to blow it all here in one segment, but I'm big on the Raiders this season. We're also going to get a glimpse at what might be the most intriguing QB competition this preseason. That's the Steelers making their trip down to Jacksonville to collect more data points on that QB room. Trubisky, Pickett, Rudolph, all effective in the opener last week. Lion's share of the assessment will be focused on the rookie, however. Steelers, short road dogs here, Emory. What should we be keyed in on in this one?
There's a lot to unpack here, Joe. And when you think about Pittsburgh coming into this game, it's a preseason game, but you have the quarterback competition, which is going to mean the quarterbacks will play their best. So that's number one. Number two, how about the improved run game of Pittsburgh, a preseason thunder and lightning with Anthony McFarland and also Jalen Warren out of Oklahoma State, the undrafted rookie. On defense, that defense has waves of talent at the second and third levels. They're going to be able to match up. They're going to be able to pressure. They're going to be able to get to the quarterbacks, those reserve quarterbacks of Jacksonville. And I love the tight end group. Quiet as kept. I'm still a big fan of Jay Sternberger coming out of Texas A&M. He's with the Packers, and now he's found his way with Pittsburgh. And Connor Hayward is going to be excellent for this football team as a rookie. He already scored a touchdown last weekend. So there's a lot to like about Pittsburgh, depth-wise, coaching-wise, and the fact that they have an ongoing quarterback competition. I like them over Jacksonville straight up.
That is our guy, Emory Hunt, always sharp with the picks and with the fits. Thank you, my friend. All right, let's take a look at those plays. Once again, it's money line until otherwise. Emory Hunt taking the judicious approach here to preseason wagering. Wager wisely. Cowboys and Chargers. Chargers on the money line. Bucks, Titans, throw those points away again. Titans on the money line. Pay that short price. Vikings on the money line. Likes a favorite in that spot. Raiders, short road favorites against the Dolphins. We'll see how that plays out, but he likes the Raiders on the money line as well. Then he's taking the dog in Jacksonville. Steelers, money line. A little bit of value there as well.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.